The little brother fell into a deep well. The older brother immediately called the firefighters, but when the firefighters started to assess the situation, they found that not only was the opening very narrow, but the boy had fallen a full 20 meters. At the bottom of the well, the boy was also struggling to breathe due to the pressure and fear, so they had to rescue him quickly. But the firefighters, with their big muscles, couldn't fit through. At that moment, the older brother stepped forward. He was willing to crawl into the pipe to save his brother, even though he was also scared of the deep, dark pipe. He couldn't bear the thought of never seeing his brother again. He would rather crawl in to save him.
Really brave guy and a great big brother, okay?
The firefighters patted the brother on the shoulder, then sent him into the pipe. The narrow, dark pipe made the older brother scared too, but he still comforted his little brother, telling him not to be afraid. Finally, the older brother reached his little brother, handed him the safety rope, and with the help of the firefighters, both boys were rescued.
Good job, Miles. Jack's really lucky to have a big brother like you.
And I'm lucky to have a little brother like him.
Do you have any siblings? A man was hanging from a lamppost. How did he get up there? Firefighters braved heavy snow to rescue him. First, they climbed a ladder to check if the man was alive. Then, some of them stayed below to catch him if needed. Another team used a platform ladder to get above him. They secured the man first, then worked together to separate him from the lamppost. Finally, they carefully brought him down to the ground. But just as the paramedics were checking him, the man suddenly woke up. Whisper banana.
Banana?
Firefighters are curious, until back at the fire station, an older firefighter said, "This used to be a punishment. People who broke promises were hung up like bananas on trees." Every Christmas, the old man works part-time as Santa Claus, handing out gifts to kids in school. But this year, while visiting a Christmas tree, the tree suddenly collapsed and fell on him. When firefighters arrived, they used tools to lift the tree first, and then started cutting off the branches. There were so many branches that they couldn't see the old man at all. His wife stood nearby, trembling with fear. As the firefighters cleared more branches, they finally found him underneath. But why was he buried so deep inside the branches? It turns out that two kids had been playing near the tree and accidentally knocked it over. The old man noticed right away and rushed to save them. He put the children's safety above his own. That is the real Santa Claus. The firefighters worked quickly to rescue him. They used a pressurized tool to lift the tree, then pulled the old man out, but there was still a branch stuck in his belly. They had to cut off part of the branch and take both the old man and the branch to the hospital together. Do you like Santa Claus? The driver fell asleep. The car crashed straight into the bridge. The entire bridge cracked open. The captain fell directly down. When he woke up, he realized he was pinned under a massive stone, and he couldn't move.
Captain Dash 118 over. This is Captain Dash 118.
But the walkie-talkie was broken. What would you do in this situation? The clever captain quickly grabbed a nearby object and began banging on the car. The sound of the strikes drew the attention of the survivors outside. A young man immediately called over the female officer. When she saw him, she realized, "That's my husband." At that moment,
He's shifting! Protect your head!
the female officer immediately called for rescue. After 666 minutes, the crane finally arrived, and the stone on top was moved. The captain was successfully rescued. By the way, the driver, who was fatigued, fell asleep at the wheel, died on the spot. Fatigue driving really kills. A doctor performed CPR on a half-dead deer.
She's in V-fib. I'm gonna shock. Charge at 300 and stand back. Oh my God!
To everyone's amazement, the deer suddenly sprang back to life. It all started just moments earlier, when a boy, covered in blood, rushed into the hospital, begging the doctors to save his friend. The man also brought in a severed limb. Hurrying to the scene, the doctors were shocked to find the friend lying on the car was, in fact, a deer. At first, the doctor was reluctant to treat it, but then the boy's father said something changed her mind.
We're gonna take her home and skin her and freeze the meat.
Please. Please.
To protect the child's innocent heart, the doctor decided to give it a try. She put on gloves to examine the deer and found its pupils were dilated and its heartbeat irregular.
We're losing her.
This is absolutely childish and ridiculous.
No, it's not. So childish to hold on to hope is actually hard, very, very hard. Your son just wants to believe that some things can work out for the best.
The doctor instructed her assistant to bring the defibrillator and charge it to 300J. A surge of electricity coursed through the deer. It flipped over and stood up. The crowd was ecstatic. Meanwhile, the boy's father stood frozen in disbelief, silently mourning the meal that had just been brought back to life. The little girl clutched her eye in pain, crying out loudly, "Get it off!" The firefighter asked her what was in her eye. As the girl slowly lowered her right hand, both the firefighter and her assistant frowned deeply. Her father explained he had just turned his head for a moment when his daughter suddenly screamed. The firefighter gently guided the girl, step by step, toward a nearby bench, helping her lie down slowly. The fishhook was deeply embedded. It had to be separated from the bait first, while the assistant fetched tools. The firefighter comforted the girl, assuring her it wouldn't hurt at all, but only if she stayed calm and completely still. Then, holding the girl's hand, the assistant quickly cut the fishing line. Next, the firefighter made a large padded bandage with gauze to secure the fishhook in place. The assistant wrapped the gauze around layer by layer, covering both of the girl's eyes. Finally, the two of them helped the girl up and escorted her to the hospital. Her father followed silently behind, wondering how he would explain everything to his wife later that night. "Do you know why the firefighter covered both of her eyes?" The man was stuck under the vending machine, unable to move, but too embarrassed to ask for help. He stayed there for a whole day and night. His coworkers came and went. It wasn't until the next day that someone finally noticed and called 911. The man thought he was about to be saved, but the firefighter asked if there was anyone he wanted to contact. Confused, the man thought, "I'm just stuck under a vending machine. Is there really any danger?" The firefighter explained.
It means that the pressure is compressing your extremities and building up toxins. Once the weight is lifted off of you, all those toxins are going to rush to your heart.
The man instantly regretted not asking for help sooner, all because of his pride. The firefighters lifted the vending machine, pulled him out. They hooked him up to N4. He felt better and even joked about calling his cute coworker for a date. But then, just like that, he passed out. The firefighters tried to shock him back with the defibrillator, but it was too late. For a man, was his pride really worth it?
As the teacher gently spreads the young girl's legs, the image of an infant's legs comes into view. The just-turned 18 high school girl is on the brink of giving birth. The teacher promptly uses her skirt to shield the baby and instructs others to leave the room. However, the girl remains oblivious to her pregnancy. The teacher carefully lays her down, opens her legs, and prepares a birthing mat. With the teacher's encouraging words, the girl summons the strength to safely deliver the baby. Shortly after, she is rushed to the hospital. When the girl's father arrives at the hospital and sees the baby, his nervous demeanor raises suspicion. Urgently, he insists the girl dispose of the child. It turns out the girl's parents are divorced and the girl lives with her father. It's likely the child she gave birth to belongs to her father. Just when the teacher was about to call the police for the girl,